Welcome back to the MTR Network. This is Chris and Phenom here, and we're here to. I think this is the last superhero film of 2016. It's been a crowded year, and I think next year it gets even more crowded because we had Deadpool, Batman vs Superman, Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, Suicide Squad, and now Doctor Strange. And let's see, it is a former neurosurgeon embarks on a journey of healing, only to be drawn into a world of mystic arts. It's directed by Scott Derrickson, and it is stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Chiwetel Ejiofor. I always fuck up his name. Rachel McAdams. Huh?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chiwetel Ejiofor. I always fuck up his name. We said Rachel McAdams. Who else is in this? Mad Malkinson, Benedict Wong, Tilda Swinton, Benjamin Bratt's actually in here. Scott Adkins. I mean, that's mainly the main cast, and some of those weren't even main here. It's really the top, I guess, 3 or 4 that are really in this film. Yeah, man. What'd you think?
I enjoyed it for what it was. Like, for me, it feels like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not following the trope that moviegoers are used to of if you're building an origin story of a hero, then at the same time you're supposed to be also building the origin story of a villain. And I think that's why certain fans of the MCU constantly go after the way villains are portrayed or played out in these films when they seem to feel quote unquote weak. But the reality is that the MCU feels like a universe that is ongoing. You can't just add like a Superman to it. There are thousands of Supermen in it. So really, this was just another story of a person acquiring abilities and choosing what team to play for with those abilities and being added into I guess he's going to be in part of the Infinity War or whatever that's going to happen when we finally take on Thanos. And as for the character development, I thought Benedict Cumberbatch nailed it. I liked Chiwetel Ejiofor's character. Tilda Swinton, it was problematic, and they made a joke that did not help, but I thought she did fine. Benjamin was in it for a smooth 20 seconds. Rachel McAdams was in it for a smooth 15 seconds. But I thought she was fine. And I think the real winner here is the CGI team that worked on this, because they did some amazing things to show the capabilities of using magic within this universe. And the closest we'd gotten to that was Thor.
Yeah. So let's start with the Tilda Swinton thing. I think that's if there's a knock on this film, I think that's the biggest one. I know Scott Derrickson, the director, came out and had a very frank and open conversation in the Daily Beast today, or interview, where he kind of admitted, it was whitewashing. We were trying to do the right thing, and it still turned out to be bad. And while I don't think that anybody who had a real huge problem with the whitewashing of the Ancient One in this film is going to suddenly change their mind because of that, you got to welcome that a little bit, because most times you get directors going, "What are you talking about? We didn't whitewash anything," and they don't own up to it. So, score a small point for that. But I'll say, it stands out. Like, I like Tilda Swinton as an actress. I do. And I totally understand where they were coming from, saying, hey, if we went with an Asian woman, we didn't want the dragon lady. Derek said they didn't want they were afraid of doing the dragon lady trope stereotype with Asian women, so they didn't want to do that. But I'll be honest, the way they had the Ancient One portrayed in this film, they could have given it to an Asian woman and it would have been fine, and they wouldn't have had a problem. They could have found somebody like, obviously couldn't use her, but someone like Chloe Bennett, who if you're also worried about how it would look, you get someone who's an Asian American who's Asian but also is I hate to say it, looks white, and the white fans who are all upset wouldn't notice it, and next thing you know, you're giving diversity without them really knowing it. Could have done it that way, right? They didn't.
I mean, they had Asian actors in this movie.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they had Asian women. They had Asian women in this movie. They had other. I mean, this is
They had an Asian side character who was comedic relief.
Well, we'll get to Wong. Like, well, so the thing with Wong is in the comics, he's a very problematic character because he's literally a manservant. The way they handle that character in this film kind of makes what they did with the Ancient One stand out as even makes it such a problem in the film because they did such a good job with him. Like, he is not a manservant. He's the librarian, but he's so much more than that. Like, he is literally in a way, the mental superior, mental mentor to Strange in this film. And they do a good job of establishing him, and they do a good job of I'll get into this later about some of the benefits, I think. They do a really good job of the other problem, and we talked about this with our character corner, Deepam and I. The character of Doctor Strange also, aside from the Asian stereotypes, has a real white savior problem. But this film kind of addresses that in a way that I think was, obviously Strange is played by a white guy. He's going to be the hero, but they do it in a way so that it's not so stereotypical and annoying that you normally get from a white savior film. And it kind of, again, it goes back to the fact that they were very aware of the stereotypes. It just really sucks that they didn't see that literally getting the whitest woman you could possibly get to play the Ancient One would have stuck. I mean, again, love Tilda Swinton. She sticks out in this film.
And I honestly, it sucks because you want to see more women in roles like this, right? Like, Tilda Swinton is like our generation's Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her in this film, and I like her character, and I like the way she portrayed it, and I like the way they wrote her. And then you realize that they sacrificed an Asian actress
for it.
So to put her in place. So right. It's on the backs of people who you had a role for and decided that, no, we're going to help this other minority group in the acting world. And the reality is, while white women still are a minority group in acting, they are some of them at the top are the highest paid in acting. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying reality is white women are going to continue to get roles in films. They just are, because they need to be in films. Okay. In this heterosexual male-driven nation, you're going to have white women in your films, your romantic comedies, your dramedies. Plus, they sell really, really well. Mm-hmm. At this point, there's no reason whatsoever why they could not have given this role in particular to an Asian woman with a bald head or an Asian guy with a bald head. And I would have preferred an Asian woman with a bald head, right, because I think that's two birds, one stone. Yeah. A woman actress and an Asian woman actress. Right. So you knock two minority groups with this one. I mean, fans will acknowledge it. Like, I don't know what the issue. I don't understand what is happening during the conversations in these boardrooms where they go, "Yeah, we need to get Tilda Swinton," and I'm thinking to myself, "Yeah, I love Tilda Swinton too, but she could play another character in another Marvel film that is befitting."
Well,
to sacrifice her in this film like this for absolutely no reason. Like, essentially, the Ancient One is a very small character. It's a big trope, I guess, from the comics, but in this film, it's not about the Ancient One. It's really just about her smacking him down with the bamboo stick constantly through the film. They really could have did that with anybody who was a good actor. They didn't need to have Tilda Swinton to sell the movie like that. I don't even know if she really sells this movie as being the Ancient One. She's causing more problems than anything else.
Well, I don't think that's not the problem. That it wasn't about her selling the film. They were worried about that, what you just described, and I think the character is so much more than that. I think they were worried that is the trope. That is the Asian stereotype that you get. The Asian master teaches, but like that's not what her character is in this film. She's so much more than that. And I, when you look at the writing credits, you see what had happened was you got a writing team, a bunch of white guys who know there's a stereotype but don't know how to deal with it, and so they overcorrect. And I think that's what happened here. They overcorrected. If they had one Asian woman or one Asian man on the writing team, I think that person would have gone, you can make that. You can make her Asian. It's fine. That's not the stereotype. People have been fine with it. You can do that. And if they had done that, again, I think, and we'll get into what works in this film, and it's a lot that works in this film, there would be no problems. But there were times in the film I'm watching and I'm going, God damn it, this is a good scene. But if she was Asian, I would have felt so much more comfortable.
Well, my problem then at that point, if they were so tone deaf that they overcorrected, right? If that's the case, why do they make a joke? If this is a spoiler for people, I'm sorry, spoiler, skip ahead 2 minutes. If they were so tone deaf to the point that they overstepped their boundaries trying to overcorrect casting Tilda Swinton in this spot because of issues with the comics, why the hell did they make a joke about Benedict mistaking an older Asian man in the temple for the Ancient One? Why did you do that? You clearly pointed out the problem that people had with this film and tried to make it a joke.
Well, I don't think it
joke to people.
I didn't take that scene as a joke.
There was clearly a joke. The theater laughed.
I think the theater laughed because it was that white privilege. Oh, of course you think that because you're being like, I didn't take it as a haha. We're making like, I took it over more from again. It fits with what I was saying, that they overcorrected and that they thought that by not making the stereotype there, that works. Like, I didn't take that as a joke.
See that?
Yeah, I didn't take that as a joke.
But that's not the case with this film. Like, we know that it's been a problem that she replaced what could have possibly been a role for an Asian actor or actress. So then I see this film, and I'm gonna instantly. To me, I correlated it directly with that. I'm not saying that's why they did it. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that they made a joke that's on the back of this controversy.
Yeah, I think. Well, again, I would suggest
you can't separate the two.
Well, I think reading what he said, and he's very open and honest about what their mindset was, and it makes sense. Like, you can see where it'd be like me and you. If we had done this and we weren't 100%, like, he even admits that he didn't see it as whitewashing doing that, and he thought that by changing the gender of it, that would fix it. And he goes, hey, you know what? We were wrong. I was totally wrong on that. Been talking to people. I understand it now. And I'm like, oh, okay, hopefully next time you'll do better. It just sucks because, again, I think the role of the Ancient One, the way they did it in this film, is actually how you're supposed to do those kind of Asian. Like, you can have Asians doing what we consider to be stereotypical Asian things and them not be stereotypical. It's kind of like how we have what's the DVD you just got? Into the Badlands.
Yeah,
you have an Asian lead in basically a kung fu TV show, right? But it's not stereotypical because they've added depth to it.
Sonny is conflicted.
Huh?
Sonny is conflicted.
Right. There's a lot more to him. What I think Derrickson and the writing team didn't understand was the reason why those Asian stereotype tropes don't work is you never give them any depth. You make the blind master or you make the kung fu master who trains the student, and then the focus becomes the student. In this film, the Ancient One has a way bigger role than just being, the master. She's literally the protector of Earth, and she has a role, and she also has. You later find out there are some things she's done wrong.
To what she does. The way her methodology.
Exactly. And so if they had made the character Asian because they gave it depth, which is what usually these stereotypes don't do, right? Normally when you have a stereotype, it's just, hey, it's in this role and that's it. And then they go away or they die and there's nothing else you never formed any kind of bond with them. In this film, you see her not just kicking ass, you see her doing things, you see there's a lot of things going on here, and again, it really, really sucks that they went this route, even though I understand it. Like, I totally understand why they did it. It's still wrong, and it sucks because, again, everything else in the film, I think, is great. I mean, going back to what we said about Wong, like, the way they did him, and that's how I kind of understand also that the problem is you got to get more. When we say diversity in the writing room, it's got to get more than just men. because they got Wong right. Like it's like the guys they can understand the concept of Wong and what was wrong, even though they weren't Asian. They can understand why the concept of Wong was wrong man to man. So they made him, they made him funny without really being funny, and they gave him a personality that was great. And the way he handles Stephen Strange is so much different than the way the subservient Wong you see in the comics. He's literally, I think at one point, Benedict Wong described himself, his character as a drill sergeant. It's kind of how he is. Like, he's kind of an asshole to Strange, yo.
I feel like he's a bouncer in the club. The club being the library.
Right.
All the craftiest crafts.
Right.
So, I thought another thing that was that I hope doesn't get overlooked by the audience of this film is the fact that when we do get characters like the Ancient Ones, they get Mr. Miyagi. And if you get Mr. Miyagi, you get a Daniel-san. And the Daniel-san is a bird-brained nitwit who doesn't know his head from his ass. And you basically have to groom him into being a hero. Mm-hmm. Benedict is already a hero when this film starts. In the real world, he is the savior of lives as a neurosurgeon. So when the Ancient One is trying to teach him, and I don't want and kind of break him away from his prior existence, well, he's not a dumb man. Mm-hmm. He's very intelligent, and he starts to see problems from learning this new world of magic and observing her in it and observing what she's telling him versus what she's doing, or it seems like she's doing. Yeah. And I thought that created like a nice little story, because then that's where they pull Chiwetel's character in. Mm-hmm. Mordor, right? Is it Mordor?
Mordo.
Mordo? Yeah. That's where they kind of pull his character into this now and give him some more depth.
Yeah.
Because Benedict clearly has a gift for mastering things. Well, he also has a gift for reading bullshit, essentially. Right. Once he has the knowledge. Yeah. That creates a tension, and I thought that was really different. Usually you don't get that. Like, you had tension with like Neo and Morpheus, but not really. You don't really get that questioning if people are being truthful with you or putting you on the right path for good intention or for own selfish intentions. Like, here that conflict is created, and I thought that made the story more interesting.
Well, you know what it is? Like, usually when you have these white savior movies, they make the white savior literally like Jesus. Like, he's, no pun intended, magical. Like,
Neo legit was Jesus.
Yeah, it's just like he magically goes from being sucky to doing, and they show nothing in between. With the way they handle Doctor Strange, and and when I do my spoiler review next week, I'll be able to go more into this with Deepom and stuff like that. The way they handle it is, again, and this is why the Tilda Swinton thing is we led with that, because everything else I think they did is going to be very underrated. Like you said, he comes in with skills already. So Doctor Strange's thing is, the reason why he became such a good doctor is, one of the things he has is, not only is he a genius already, but he also has a photographic memory. So what he ends up doing is, he's going through, when he goes to the library to get these books to learn these spells, he's learning at an accelerated rate, not because he's a white savior magical guy, but because this is what he did. Like, he went to medical school. He became one of the world's greatest surgeons. So yeah, he's reading and learning stuff because he has this incredible gift already he comes in with. And then what they do is to kind of balance that is, yeah, he has a photographic memory. He can learn these spells. He can try to do them. But one, you obviously have that whole, does he believe enough in be able to do it? Can he let go of his former beliefs to do this? But also, just doesn't even know how to use them. Yeah, I think at one point,
there's a third thing too. It's not just those two. There's also, on top of those two you said, there's also now that he's down, if he does believe, does he understand what he's actually doing with this shit now? Because that is a point in this film where it's like, he believes in the magic and shit, and then he just starts playing with it, and it's like, dude, no.
And one of them were like, no, man, just because you can do it doesn't mean you actually know what you're doing. Like, you're not ready for this.
At one point, he's really like, I just wanted to try it out. Right. And it's like, homie, no, you can't just do that like this. Mm-hmm. No, man. And
Yeah.
I think those 3 points are good points of the film. Like they made sure to hone in on that. You can be a genius and still make moronic fucking decisions,
Right.
like a fucking 2-year-old with a new toy.
Yeah. And then on top of that is, does he even want to do it? Because then
Mm.
at one point in the film, he comes out, he's like, "Oh, listen, dude, I just wanted to fix my hands. I ain't down for saving the world and doing all this shit. I ain't trying." And again, what they do, another thing that I think they do is really well is the Ancient One's cult, if you will. It's a cult. It's an organization. It's not just one person. It's not the Ancient One's going to teach Doctor Strange. He becomes Sorcerer Supreme, and that's the thing. He's now in one movie. He becomes Sorcerer Supreme. No, he's got to work his way up the ranks. Hey, spoiler alert here: in the movie, he does not become the Sorcerer Supreme. He is not. And I think there's a lot of reason behind that. You watch this film and you'll see they've made this an organization. There are 3 different sanctums, and this organization is out there to protect all 3 of the sanctums. And really, what Strange is in this entire film is he's an accidental member at some point in this film. He ends up at one point defending one of the sanctums because he ended up there by accident. I mean, it's just like you got drafted. You're part of us now. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
I mean,
Welcome
at
to the
one
club.
point, dude, he was Aladdin stumbling upon a magic carpet.
Right?
That whole scene was Disney. Like Marvel is definitely under Disney umbrella, because they wouldn't have let them get away with some of the shit that happened in this film without claiming copyright.
Yeah, I mean,
They straight up jacked Aladdin scenes for this movie, and they're done extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like I think to go back to, him not understanding these things, and using these spells, not understanding them, and not understanding that, and this is something again we talked about in our character corner, that these spells have costs and there's rules. That becomes a point of contention between him and Mordo, and to bring it back to something else you said at the beginning of the film about the villains. I think people need to understand, like you said, that Marvel's method for doing films and treating villains the same way comic books do them. And you need to understand that, yes, you're getting a bunch of these low-level, once-off villains. Like, the villain in this film is Mikkelsen, but he plays Caecilius. Minor character, you don't really need him, and he's just there to kind of move the plot along. But the plot he's moving along is to really set up not Thanos, but there's 2 other villains, big Doctor Strange villains, that this plot line is setting up.
But he's not even Doctor Strange's villain, and he's not even Doctor Strange's nemesis in this.
Yeah.
He's the Ancient One's nemesis.
Exactly. Like, he's not Strange.
Strange is just there.
Yeah,
like,
Strange is just
there
there.
in the middle of this shit, trying to, like, what the fuck is going on around me, and how did I get stuck in the middle of all this? Mommy, daddy, stop fighting.
Right. I mean, like I said, it's a very interesting way they did this, so that you can, and again, that's why I'll go back to it. The Tilda Swinton thing is the only thing that stands out, because every other problematic aspect of Doctor Strange, his background and just the character of Doctor Strange, they kind of dealt with. Even the fact that, like, a lot of people, I've always said this, and Deep Palmer are talking about this again when we did the character corner, that, hey, you know what? Doctor Strange does not have to be a white guy. They could have made it an Asian American character. I think that would have been great. It would have worked. Here's the thing. There are some really arrogant moments that happen in this film early on. Some of them happen later on, but really, usually most of them are early on in the film. I got to be honest. You got to have a white guy, because it's
the whole way
so white.
The whole way he fucked up his hands was arrogant as fuck.
Oh yeah, it is the most
supreme arrogance.
It is the most white privileged. Yeah, white person, but like when he talks to Christine, when he talks to Christine and tells her that he blames her. Oh, I was like, that's some.
Bro, he tore it into her.
It was like, listen, when I tell you, it was peak awesome whiteness. Again, not saying another character, you couldn't get another ethnicity to do that. I'm just saying that you needed, at some point, I'm not gonna lie, I guess it's because of the way they did the other surrounding characters around him. I kind of like him getting basically torn down to nothing. It was something satisfying seeing that, and seeing him be this arrogant jackass and getting everything torn out from him. Again, not saying it couldn't have been anybody else, but it there was a certain level of realism there, and I don't know, maybe it's just because of the week I've been having dealing with Trump supporters that I've just been like, ugh. But I don't know, something about that just made me feel some kind of way. But I definitely think you could have gotten another ethnicity to do the character, and again, that would have eased some of the apprehension about the film.
I actually think for a while while watching this, it bothered me what they were doing with Chiwetel's character, Mordo. Because you see this black guy is here, and he clearly is about like magic is now his faith, and he's following it by the books, and it has helped him rehabilitate himself. And for a while, I was kind of like, is he just gonna be this stick up the ass magic thumper? Like what? What is the deal here? And then there was a conversation between the Ancient One and Strange about him and why he's that way.
Right.
And when they said that, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, he found magic Jesus.
Right.
Yeah, he's converted.
True believer.
And it shows, and that actually was foreshadowing for what was to come for his character. And after I saw that part, I was like, okay, that's kind of genius. Because see, what they really do is they subtly show you how much of a badass he is.
Right.
And it seems like they're creating him to be, what was it from the Green Hornet, Kato?
Yeah.
They kind of like seem like they're grooming him through development in this film to be a Kato type character. And really, that's not what they're doing. No, they're like, pay attention to how bad this motherfucker is, because this is going to be important later on.
Yeah, I mean, like, this shouldn't be a spoiler.
Something to look forward to for the next films to come.
Yeah, this shouldn't be a spoiler, but Baron Mordo is Doctor Strange's arch enemy. All right, so you just got to bear that in mind when you watch this film, that there's a reason for all this stuff. And I think they do. Again, I think the way they handle that character, the way they handle Wong, who is, I mean, they say librarian, but it's just that's not really what he is. He's so much more than that. He's clearly so much more than that. And he just understands.
Yeah, he's actually the one that the Ancient One was talking about at one point in the film. You thought she was talking about another character, and she was, but really she's talking about his character.
Right.
And I like the way the writers flipped that around.
Right.
To paint this picture of what was to be the future, and then in the end you see the puzzle pieces together, and it's not at all exactly what she or you as the viewer had envisioned. The guy that played the villain. So what was the villain's name? The human villain.
Caecilius.
So this guy,
Mads.
I get why, because cults are stupid, and he's stupid. He is like an orphan that has turned on its home. And you're just like, come on, dude, what is your problem? You can't see you can't see what this drug is doing to you, which they make a joke about. They're like, clearly you're on the wrong team. Look at your skin. And he's like, no, this punch is delicious. And I actually like that they did that with them, because I don't like when they try to paint villains like that as being intelligent or having some omniscient knowledge that the main character doesn't know that they'll use to smack them down later. That's bullshit. This guy drank all the fucking Kool-Aid.
Well, and what you got to realize,
and that's why he's dumb as shit throughout this film. He's a badass villain. Like, him and his squad, his 3-man squad are a problem. But they are a well-trained, foot soldierish, idiotic problem.
Yeah, I mean, and also you gotta realize, like, even him, he's not the top level villain technically in this film. He's basically another foot soldier. You realize that later on, but yeah, I mean, and what it is, and I'll say this. I mean, maybe next to Civil War and Winter Soldier, this might be some of the best fight choreography in the MCU right now, because these fights, man.
The fights, dude, the CGI.
Well, the CGI, the fights, because they add in not just, so imagine adding in, kung fu, but then add in magic and magical weapons and forming like shields and things like that. then also add in the fact that you can change reality around, and so you have imagine the Inception hallway fight where they're in the hallway and the hallway is kind of spinning and things like that. Imagine that on steroids.
Right, it's reality distortion.
Yeah.
During the kung fu fight,
Yeah.
during the magic shield, whip, swords, and gadgets, it is ridiculous, and it actually hurt my eyes at one point because this is another film where I'm just like, you don't see this in 3D. It's too much going on for 3D to be useful at all. Like, this isn't just things coming at you. This is buildings folding into buildings. This is really like having a kung fu fight in the middle of a prism.
So
in a self-shifting Rubik's Cube. It is ridiculous.
So here's
how
my thing.
The background and how much the foreground changes.
Yeah. Like
during fights.
There's that one moment where that she opens Strange's third eye, if you will, and he goes on that, and it's so fucking trippy.
That shit is trippy as hell.
It's trippy as fuck. Like you,
it's harder to watch some fight scenes in this film than it is to do the fucking jump puzzle in Destiny for the Taken King. Like, they're just falling through holes and falling through floors and falling through ceilings and falling through sidewalls. It is all over the place. Like, they fall in a hole and you don't know which direction of the screen they're going to come out of.
Right. And here's the thing, and this is where I'll disagree with you a little bit. I think 3D action for this film actually might be good. I think that in the theater, though, especially a regular theater, non-IMAX theater, with that with that shitty ass screen and those shitty ass glasses, no, it's gonna suck. So don't do that. But if you got a 3D TV at home, when you get this on Blu-ray, watch that shit in 3D. It's gonna blow your fucking mind. Like this is one of those films I can't wait to get on Blu-ray because I'm gonna watch the fuck out of it in active 3D because it's probably very, very good. But again, when you got shitty ass screens, that 3D, it's like I don't even know why they make the screeners like that for us. If you're not going to put us in an IMAX theater for a 3D screener like this, don't do it because those theater glasses suck. The theater screens suck. It's just not going to do your film.
It just doesn't look. It didn't look good here. Like I actually felt cheated with some of the fight scenes because I knew there were things that I couldn't see the way they were meant to be seen, and we've really entered into an age of the fuck. Sorry, it's a weird picture. We have really entered into an age of you look forward to seeing the Blu-ray because you know it's going to look 10 times better than that shitty ass 100-foot theater screen.
Yeah, and that's again one of the negatives I saw with it is like that 3D. I was like, yo, I know this is so much better than what I'm seeing right now. You can just tell. You can just tell it is. But yeah, it's just I love the way that they did the spells because again, this is Marvel, and this is where I'm actually very shocked that critics like this movie so much because this movie, when it comes to the way it looks and feels, it is so trippy, it is so comic booky at times that I can't believe that they actually like this film because it is as trippy and as crazy as you think it is. I mean, the way they do the spells, the way they do, like especially the end, the way he ends up defeating the villain in this film.
That shit was funny.
It is funny. And speaking of the humor in this film, to me, the humor in this film is more along the lines of it struck the tone of the Captain America films where there are funny moments, but it's not really a funny film. Not like, say, Ant-Man or like the Iron Man films where you can tell they're always trying to get those comedies with the more serious moments in there. Like, there are funny moments in here. Definitely funny moments in here, but it's a way more serious film than I thought it was going to be, which is not a bad thing.
I think this is where the casting was genius and expensive. The reason I think critics like this film so much, I won't say they love it. I'll say they're giving it so many positive reviews. Mm-hmm. I think a huge part of that goes to the casting. Not because the actors did amazing jobs acting, just the names within the cast. Okay, Benedict Cumberbatch, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Tilda Swinton, Rachel Adams or McAdams, which I always fuck up the last name. Benjamin, what's it, Banneker?
Bratt.
Benjamin Bratt. Banneker Bratt. Like, these are all, you might as well say they're basically all A-list actors. Mm-hmm. Like, aged A-list, except for Rachel. She's the youngest one here.
Yeah, this is I think, their most star-studded, like, lineup so far.
Bruh, in any other film, In any other regular film, this would have been what you would thought to be an Oscar film.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at this lineup, you would have been like, look at all these names in this film. This must be an Oscar contender coming out this late in the year. Oh, it's a Marvel film.
Right, it's
Well,
amazing.
and they knew what they were doing because they had certain jokes that were intelligent. They were smart jokes
Mm-hmm.
coming from smart, respected actors. You know, people got to see Tilda Swinton do magic,
Mm-hmm.
Avatar-ish.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see Benedict Cumberbatch be funny, where you see him in like Star Trek, where he's not funny as Khan, or you see him as Sherlock Holmes, and I'm not sure how funny he is on that show, being it's a BBC show about Sherlock Holmes. I'm not sure how that works. And any other time, he's playing a serious character, you know, imagination game, stuff like that. He is serious. Here, he is a pompous prick who cracks jokes, and nobody laughs at his jokes, which is the joke within itself. Chiwetel is stuck on his faith and plays the strong-minded black man who, every once in a while, will read your ass.
Right.
You know, Rachel, shit just keeps happening to her, and she's just trying to live her nurse life.
Right.
You know, they do
can I just
things
say,
like that, and I think those were very intelligent
can I say
and
that I
well
love the
thought out and done and casted scenes
Yeah.
to the point where critics will watch this and they'll go, yeah, it's big and it's loud, kind of, and it has all the CGI, but I really liked the characters, you know, in this one. And what they're really saying is they really like those actors that they cast in this movie, who they know.
Right. Can I just say I love the fact that they didn't really force. I mean, obviously there's a relationship between Rachel McAdams' character and Benedict Cumberbatch's, but the way they handle that I thought was very, very good. And it's not forced like they do in some other films. Like
Yeah, it wasn't.
it's done very, very subtly and well.
Well, it's kind of done like they had their time.
Right.
They care about each other and they're really good friends, but they do not fit.
Exactly, and
They're not matching puzzle pieces.
Right, and I think that again, like I said, there's a lot of really innovative things they've done with that film. Like I said, the Tilda Swinton thing is the thing that is going to stick out for most people. It's gonna harm the film's rating. You know, it is for some folks, but there's a lot here that you look at and it's like, wow, you guys did think about this, and you guys made forward. Like watching this film, I've realized something when watching the X-Men films. You have 16 years. You've had Professor X, and he's never astral projected. In this film, you get a fight on the astral plane. Like it is, and you're like, I can't believe we could do that. I didn't know that this is something I need. I didn't know they could do this in film, and this is amazing. Like the way this film is, like the way some of the battles in this film take place, and it's just amazing how they did this and the concept they did here. I'm really excited. I'm really glad for how they did it. One thing they did is, you know, Doctor Strange has all these artifacts and things like that. Two of the things are the Eye of Agamotto and his cape, the Cloak of Levitation. They do something with the cloak, which I thought is great. It's something that kind of builds on what they've done with, takes a step further than what they've done with Thor's hammer. They've given the cloak base its own personality. Basically, what they do is they say that each of the students under the ancient one, at some point they'll get a relic, and the relic they don't pick a relic. The relic picks them. So basically, as a personality to these relics, and it's the way this happens with the cloak and the way it goes down. It's a very it's just a fun way of doing it. I liked how they did that. And
it was very Disney.
Yeah, it was very Disney.
Now, Chiwetel was the one who gave him this information, or Mordo is the one who gave him this information. So now I want to see. I hope they expound upon in later films what type of relationship Mordo has with his relic.
Yeah.
Because they kind of show him using it, but they don't show it having a personality.
And maybe it doesn't.
If we are saying that these relics are, I don't want to say conscious, say sentient either.
They're tied to. I guess they're tied to the personality of the. Yeah, they don't really explain it either in the film, but I think that's good because now we have a way to explore, like the way the film ends. And again, I guess minor spoiler here, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme at the end of the film, but that's a good thing because it means that they're showing you you're gonna see this character build to become that. And the way that they handle this, like, everybody knows of Doctor Strange's sanctum. In this film, they have three. There's three different sanctums, and each of them is run by a master. And you'll be just pay attention to who one of the masters of one of the things is. It's an important thing. We actually mentioned this character briefly on the Character Corner. Just pay attention to who that is, and when Deepak and I talk next week, we'll talk more about that. But I think the way they handled this and the way that they made this so that it's not just Doctor Strange alone against all the evils of the world, and he just went to the Ancient One and became Sorcerer Supreme and became a master like that because he's so much better and because he's white. They didn't do that with this, and I think that helps, and it definitely shows that Marvel is paying attention to people's complaints and the problematic nature of some of their characters. Again, they're not getting everything right. Again, Tilda Swinton thing is going to stand out, but it shows a level of awareness that we honestly just have not seen in the rest of Hollywood. Like no other studios, outside of Disney, and Marvel Studios under Disney, it has this kind of awareness. I mean, how many times do we see whitewashing in films and they go and they explain it away? It's like, oh, well, no, we did it. We did it for you. And, oh, we're not wrong. And then they go about the business and film flops and don't care anymore. Here you have the director coming out and saying, oh, no, we messed up. I messed up. This is what we were trying to do. I didn't think of it this way. But now I know, hey, yeah, man, I see it from that point of view and I'm wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, that right there, it's not going to convince a lot of people. Guarantee you it probably saves the film at least from losing $10 million more dollars. That's going to add more people. That's going to make some people who were on the fence go, you know what? I'm going to give it a try now. And I actually think that, again, the problem aside, there's a lot of great, good things here. So,
yeah. I was filling in. Like, I actually was interested in checking out some of the new comics that have come out from New Marvel. With Strange.
The new Strange ones are really good.
Yeah, because I'm interested now. But I am more interested in the leap in cinematography that happened with CGI associated in this film. Like,
dude, can you imagine we're here in like 2016? Like, imagine they could never do this film in 2008, right? When the Marvel Cinematic Universe started, the shit they do in this film. Forget like the buildings folding on themselves and like that, which is amazing, by the way. But just think about the way they do the shields and the way they do the magic and the way that's working. Like, it looks real.
Yeah. It was weird. Like, even the way they showed Strange learning his and all he had was the spark.
Yeah.
That shit was, it was, yeah, man, I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was good.
All right, man. What would you give it out of 10?
I mean, out of 10, it's an 8 out of 10. It's a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's what I was going to give it. Without the Tilda Twin thing, I might have given it a 9. I'm going to give it an 8 because I got knocked off a point because of that. But yeah, I mean, I think that you can't go wrong with this. I think you're going to go and see it. You're going to enjoy it. And again, I don't fault anybody who, after hearing everything we've said, seeing the reviews, and reading what Derrickson says, still goes, hey, whitewashing still can't do it. Can't fault you on that one. And I think that, hey, the only way for these studios to learn that, even if your intentions were good, it's still wrong, is to hit them where it hurts, and that's at the pocket. So I can't fault anybody who doesn't go to see it. But I do think if people do go to see it, I think overall you're going to really enjoy this film. And it's amazing to me to say that, I mean, let's think about this. In a year that had Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman in the film together, that had Suicide Squad, that had X-Men and Apocalypse, it is Doctor Strange, Deadpool, and a Captain America film that are the three best films in the year.
I think Civil War had everybody in it.
Well, yeah. Civil War. To be fair, Civil War had everybody in it. But yeah, I mean, it's just, that's amazing to me. Like, and I think it shows you that it doesn't matter what the name recognition of the character is. If you make a good film, and people trust you to make a good film, they'll go see this shit. Yeah. So there you guys have it. If you're a premium member, spoiler review will hopefully be coming out next week. Everybody knows I think all the shows, maybe Supergirl's not on break, but I know Flash and Agent of Shield are on break. So Deepon and I will be recording the Super Tuesday. During the Super Tuesday con, we'll be recording a premium spoiled review for this film. We'll go into some more detail. We'll talk more about some of the things we saw, some of the hints that go forward into the larger Marvel universe. And yeah, but until then, go and check the film out. And check the rest of our reviews out on movietrailerreviews.net or mtrnetwork.net. Search for MTR Network or Movie Trailer Reviews on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. And until next time, we are out of here. Peace.
Peace.